Alright. Are we live? I think so. Quick sound test to make sure. Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Quick sound test to make sure. Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Yep. All good. Right, so tonight the plan, so I didn't stream yesterday. I just wanted to spend a day, or a night, I guess, tidying up some of the code a little bit. So if you've been following along, you'll remember we've been working on the scene transition system between the village and interiors, and the procedural generation to go along with that. And at the end of the last stream, I just jammed quite a lot into Blueprint, or it might have been the stream before, but I have moved that all over now, so I can quickly show. So the game mode has our logic for finding the arrival door based on the matching IDs. This is pretty much a one-to-one recreation of what was in Blueprint. And then this is the code for actually putting the player at that spot. And so I found this thing called start play on the game mode, which seems to happen right after all the begin play has happened on all the actors in the scene, which means that these doors have their IDs already set, basically. So I don't need that delay. If you remember, I had a delay of a tick, or for a while I had a second delay, but yeah. So there's that. I also converted something else. What did I convert? There was another part to this. Let me just think for a second. It was tile house, yeah. So we had a Blueprint version of this, basically. Remember with the, this is the actual actor in the scene. In fact, let me boot up. The actor in the village that represents the house, the one with the sign and stuff. I've converted that to C++ as well. So we got the door and the sign, and then we override the set data like we did before and do exactly, I think exactly the same logic. It's just in C++ now. So everything's kind of in one spot. Not in one spot as in the code, but like pretty much all the logic is in C++ now. For better or worse, I don't know. It's just something I want to try for this project, experiment with. Usually I lean more Blueprint heavy, but this time I wanted to see what the workflow feels like if you do mostly C++. Yeah, so I mean, there isn't really a lot to show you on the Blueprint side, I guess, considering I just said I got rid of most of it. But so our game mode is now just empty. There's no code or anything, and the village tile, house tile, remember this this thing here, this is now based on the C++ class, which is the this thing I was just showing you, the village tile house thing. I'm not sure on the naming convention on these, but it is what it is. So yeah, so same components and everything, they just are set in C++ now. Yeah, and yeah, we still have this Markov generation stuff. How's it going, Shaik? Welcome in again. But since we don't use it, I haven't converted this yet. It's still just in Blueprint because everything just returns true. It's pretty much pure random. But yeah, as far as I know, this works just fine. At least it was when I tested this last. Let me double check. So volroll blah blah blah. So we're technically in his house now. These NPCs haven't been set up yet, but we do have the 2 rooms. And if we leave, we should end up outside the same house. Yeah. So these, remember, are 2 separate scenes. So if I eject and actually fly in here, there's nothing actually in here. In this scene, we actually load a whole different scene when I click on this door. This door is literally just, I guess I can't show you very easily, but yeah, it's just paper thin. So all smoke and mirrors. But it works pretty well, and it's pretty much instant too. So I'm gonna sideline this for a little bit now that we've got this part working, because there's a couple of other things I want to get in place before we get too much further along. And one of those things is going to be serialization. So every time I switch level, I need to like run an autosave basically and load it on the other side, because most objects in Unreal get destroyed when you switch levels in most game engines. I think you can make the player controller stay, the game instance stays, but that's pretty much it. And we need serialization anyway, so we can do like save games and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to sideline this for now. The other thing I want to get in place is the inventory, which is getting close to done, so that I can put like shops and stuff and quests to go get items and bring them back and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to leave the village stuff basically where it is, and today I thought we would hopefully more or less finish off the inventory system. So what I have for that so far is a very basic UI. Like it's literally just a black box. There's not really even a UI. Hesitant to call it a UI, but I'm mainly just focusing on the logic. So this is an inventory screen, and I added a cheat to give items. So I can give the sword, give item sword 1. That is one of the items textures we made last time. And now if I open my inventory, you can see I've got a sword, and there's like, what are the other ones we made? Apple, potion, and axe. So you can see those show up, and the number beside it, which doesn't look very good, is the amount. Yeah, so I guess I can quickly recap on how I did that. So the sprites are these ones right here. We drew these, I think, at the very end of the last stream. They're obviously placeholder, but they'll do for now. And for the inventory itself, basically we have a UI somewhere. There's 2 parts of the UI. There's like the system, and then there's like the front end, which is the UI. So basically we have this inventory screen, which is just a canvas with a blur and stuff. And then we have this inventory widget, list widget, and this is basically, it's like its own widget that is a list of the actual items, and the items are just these item row things. You can do it like this, makes it a bit more clear. So we just spawn a bunch of these in this list, and this list gets spawned in here. And the reason I split out the list from this screen is so that we can have an inventory list that is connected to an inventory that's not the players, it's not hard-coded. So for example, I could have like the players on one side and the shopkeeper's inventory on the other side, or the chest or something. And yeah, pretty much all the code is in C++, so I can quickly show. So let's start with the item row. So this is basically just a normal user widget. We just expose the stack. I'll get into what this is once I get to the system side of things, but we have this variable for the item name, which is just so that I can connect it to this using a bind. And we got the icon, which is the last thing I was working on. There's a problem with this, and I'll talk that through after. And then we just have a set stack function, which gets called to tell it, hey, you need to be the sword. So, for example, so we just basically update this to look like it should when it is representing a certain item. So that's pretty much it for the row. Then the list, as I'm sure you can imagine, is pretty much just it connects to a certain inventory component, which is just an inventory. So it could be my inventory or an NPC's inventory or chest. And then pretty much just displays that. So it creates a new item row for every stack in that inventory and just adds it to the list. That's pretty much it. And then we have the screen, which is the thing that the item list sits inside. And this basically just has some code to link the list, which is this thing here, to the player's inventory. So I just grab the player, get the player's inventory, and then connect the player list to the player's inventory. That'll show the items that I have, basically. Yeah, so that's basically the code so far for the UI. A quick recap on this inventory system, just in case you were following along or wanted to implement this yourself. I have these, let's start with the item actually. So the item is just a U object, name, weight, sprite, that's it. Could potentially be a struct, but I do like to make these classes so that I can create child classes and, you know, easily deal with functions and whatnot. So yeah, that's basically all an item is. And then for an item stack, which is the thing that the inventory actually holds. Where did I do that? That is a struct, and that basically just holds a subclass of the item. So it doesn't hold an actual instance of the item, it just holds the class of the item, so that I can instantiate it or do class default stuff. And it tells you how many of that item you have. So each stack of apples, for example, has a certain amount, and yeah, certain weight, obviously. So that's what that is. And then the only other thing is the inventory component, which is an actor component that sits on the player or the thing you want to have in inventory, and that just has the functions you'd probably imagine it does. It just has a way to add items to it and remove items. You can probably pause the video if you want to see this in more detail, but yeah, essentially it just groups items together. So if that item already exists in inventory, like I have 5 apples, pick up another apple, it's going to see, okay, do you already have a stack of apples? If you do, just add one to the existing stack, otherwise add a new stack. And remove is kind of basically the same logic, essentially. Find the particular matching class minus the amount, and if that stack has 0 items, so you have 0 apples, then we remove the whole stack struct from the array. I feel like I just over-explained the shit out of that, but hopefully that was helpful to someone, in case you were following along. So that's where we're at right now. So I think I'm about to sneeze, hang on. Now that I said it, I might not. Oh god. I hate that. I think it's gone. So we have the problem that you probably just saw before. Wait, what? Did I break something? Required widget binding item row. Need to rename that because the binding failed. The binding is basically in the item row widget. This, because I'm using bind widget here, this name has to match exactly, otherwise it can't find it. So that should do, yep. Linked up. So yeah, basically I can't remember if I just showed this or not, but if I add an item, you can see the icon isn't working. So that's the first thing. And actually, I should probably quickly show how the cheats work, how I added a cheat to the game. So for that, I made a cheat manager, which just inherits from the cheat manager, which is a thing that gets dynamically inserted into the player controller if it's not a shipping build, I believe. And pretty much all you do is just make a function, but give it this exec keyword. That stands for executable, I think. And that will, yeah, basically like run this function when you type in the command. So that's literally it for how I added cheats, and how you can add cheats also. How's it going, Dark? Welcome in. I've just been recapping what has been done up to this point and yesterday. But yes, so for the item stuff, the icon stuff, let me go back in here again. The yeah, add item X. This icon here is supposed to be the sprite. Where is it? Yeah, I guess, what is it? X, this one here. Struggling with SQL on there. SQL, good fun. Yeah, I haven't done SQL in quite a while. I used to do it a lot with, used to make MMO like systems with SQL and PHP, and that, yeah, I remember it being an absolute nightmare. So good luck with that. Yeah, so that's supposed to be this icon basically, which I just showed in the content browser. And the problem basically that I've come across, which I'm gonna probably work around unless I can figure this out quickly, is that okay, so the way these work, just in case you're not familiar, these images, as you see what's called a brush, and the brush defines basically what the image is, but it can be a few different things. It can be a sprite, texture, material, I think some other stuff. So I need to convert the sprite that I have here into a brush so I can set it here. And there is a function to do that in Unreal. It's called, I've forgotten what it is called. Let me look it up. Sprites, yeah, make brush from sprite. Okay, icon brush. I might need to look into that actually. But if I look in here, basically there's this library, blueprint library, that is in a plugin in Unreal with a function that I can't seem to see the definition of. I can't find the actual implementation of this function anywhere, which is super weird. And also because it doesn't implement any API, I can't actually access this library. So yeah, that is kind of a problem because I need to somehow convert this into a slate brush, but I can't see how they do it. The weird thing is that in Blueprint you can do it. So the code must be there somewhere. I just can't seem to find it. So yeah, so this function here is the same one as far as I understand. And this I believe does work. So yeah, who knows how that is happening. Maybe someone more knowledgeable in C++ than me will know, but for now I'm going to try and work around it. So I want to investigate that Niagara function I just saw a second ago. This is get icon brush from, what is this? Niagara stack item? What does this do? It's never used and never implemented. I don't know, something might be up with my writer. This doesn't seem right. Like, this should be implemented somewhere. Maybe I didn't download the symbols for 5.3. I'll have to double check that. That might be the problem. Yeah. However, so what I'm going to do basically instead, since I can't use that function, is make Blueprint do it. So what I'll do is go fslate brush. I think that's what I need. Get brush from sprite, and then I'll just go paper sprite, and I guess that can be const. And then if I just expose that to Blueprint as a Blueprint implementable event, then I can define it in Blueprint and use that node however it is actually working. Eventually I would like to rip that out though and actually use the source code of how, like, whatever function that Blueprint node is calling, I want to use the actual native code behind that. But this will get us past this issue, hopefully. I shouldn't speak too soon. So once this compiles, it's taking a while. First build, oh, that's why it's taking a while. What do we have here? A decal spec. Okay, am I not including slate? I think that's what I need for this, is it? Slate core. Where is my thingy? No, we are not. We've got UMG but not slate core, so let's grab that. Actually, let me cancel that. For a module change like that, I probably do want to actually restart the whole engine. Yeah, and I'll refresh the solution. So what kind of project are you working on with the SQL, Dark? What do you got cooking? And what language, out of interest? Okay, we should be good, hopefully. No iTunes. Slate brush rounding type. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff involved with a slate brush. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why it's so complicated. I guess they're just trying to handle a lot of different types of assets being displayed in one kind of struct. I mean, unless set resource object could do it. But again, I don't seem to have the source for that. I must have not installed the full source, I think. I have to get that fixed up. Okay. So if we go here and go to inventory something, item row, we should be able to override that function now. Get brush from sprite, and I'll just call that function and pass it on through. So the size, I have no idea, 32 or something. That might be too small. Okay, so we've got that implemented now via Blueprint. So now when we set the stack, we can call our function from the sprite, like so. It doesn't like the const probably. Okay. And then we can set the brush on the image icon, set brush, sprite brush, like that. And that should set the icon, I think. So the items are defined in Blueprint. I think I might have set this up last time, but yeah, so just a sprite, as I said, the weight and the name. And this name is actually localizable, so yeah, this is ftext. Yeah, and they're basically all the same with different data, obviously. Okay, we're compiled, so we should be okay to add an axe. Look at the inventory, and we have an axe icon. That's interesting. I did not think about that. It needs to keep the aspect ratio of the sprite itself. Oh god, which is a pain in the ass. I might just leave that for now. We'll see. I'll at least get this working more and we'll come back to that. Yeah, so I can't just hardcode 3232. What would it be, like width or something? Yeah, there's not a lot I can grab from here, unfortunately. Yeah, I might be able to calculate that somehow though. For now, won't worry about it. So the next thing is, so the icons are rendering, the items in the inventory are rendering. So if I do a bunch of stuff again, yep, that is correct. It's not sorted or anything, it's not interactable at all, it's just a list of words. If I add a bunch of potions, I do have to close and open the UI for it to work, so I could probably fix that. Yeah, I agree, Dark. I agree 100%. I say this all the time at work, like I wish this standard for non-web, like basically we have this amazing ecosystem for designing UI, which is web tech, but it only really gets used for web stuff. It's getting used a little bit, I suppose, for desktop apps now, but it just feels such a shame for every engine to have its own like UI system and everything, when like it feels like a solved problem, you know. That is one of my dreams one day, is to have enough time to write some sort of plugin for Unreal to use like React or something. But yeah, one day. Okay, so that's good. If I want it to update when items change in the inventory, I'll need a callback for that. So we don't have any right now. So if I add one here, changed. Okay, and then we can do a U property for that, just in case, as I say, if I end up doing mod support, the modding will probably happen in Blueprint. So I want to try and expose this stuff if I can. Okay, there we go. There's a delegate for it. An event dispatcher. So now basically every time we change the stacks, we kind of want to, or anytime we do something which counts as changing the inventory, we kind of want to broadcast this event to tell UIs or whatever else that, hey, something might have changed. So like right here, we'd want to do it. And the rest of this is not really changing anything. Okay, so now that we have that, what we can do is in the inventory list widget, when we connect an inventory, Yep, when we connect, oh, this is the screen. Yeah, when we connect the inventory. Why is, that's weird. Why is that not taking me to the source? Okay. Yeah, when we connect the inventory, we can basically bind to that event. So connect an inventory on change dot add dynamic. I don't know what, like I still haven't decided what I want my naming standard to be for that kind of stuff in any project ever. I always change it, but I do kind of want the name callback in there because otherwise it sounds like a delegate. But then again, this is not the most elegant thing in the world. That could be a protected callback, no problem. And yeah, so when that function is called, we just kind of want to essentially do this stuff here. So what I might actually do is rename this to refresh. Yeah, refresh is probably fine. Please don't, yeah, no core redirect, please. And now we can just call the same function right here. And that will run it both when we connect an inventory and then anytime that connected inventory changes. One thing we probably should do is before we change an inventory, we could say if we already have a connected inventory, then we want to remove the binding, basically. I think it's pretty important to remove the bindings, otherwise sometimes it can crash. Yeah, and this might even, I might need to do it when I take the UI off the screen too, but what are you mad about? Can be made const. Really? I don't know if I'd call this a const function. We're kind of adding stuff to the UI. Yeah, no. Okay, so now what should happen is when I add items or change my inventory in any way, while it's open, it'll automatically detect that and refresh. This delegate will get called. Alright, not sure why we had to compile the cheat manager there. Okay, so let's play. I'll open my inventory immediately and then add item sword. It's because that's not add item, is it? That's the one we're using. It's only money. It's give item sword 1. There we go. And updates live. It's good. I am actually just destroying the entire UI and recreating it. Oh, there's a bug. Okay, so it doesn't get called when it updates a stack. Yeah, I'm destroying all the stacks and recreating them, which is pretty wasteful. I could probably just update the ones that are there, but yeah, I can change that later. Okay, so why did that not get called when I updated a stack? Because we've got a return there. Okay. Yeah. Kind of awkward to have it in 2 spots like that, but I guess that works. So either we update the amount of an existing stack or we add a whole new stack. Let's try that. Or add the 1,000 potions. Should have done that with the inventory open. Add another 1,000. Okay, so add 2 apples. Add 2 more, and we still have 2. Okay, cool. So this is working reasonably well. It's just awkward looking and it's not interactable at all. And also I can do this, which is super weird. I basically can click and hold and drag around my screen. So we don't want that. Basically what I want to do now then is I'm trying to think of the next best thing to cover. I could, I suppose, do equipping items. And then it would be nice to do sorting and stuff. Yeah, let's do, I suppose, equipping first. So let me commit what I've got first. Okay. Okay. Does that do its thing? I think it did. This just hasn't. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if we were going to do equipping, the way I basically imagine this looking is essentially only certain items will be equipable. Like the sword, for example. And I essentially want to have a wee, maybe like a dot or something on the equipped items, and then be able to click this to equip it, essentially. So we need a few things going on for this to work. I need to definitely space this out and make it look better. Have hover stuff happen, have clicks happen, and be able to tell what my current equipment actually is. Yeah, which is sounds simple, but it's actually quite a lot of steps to make that happen. So, item row. First off, let's have a look at this, because it's not really doing it for me. What I actually have never done before, and maybe we'll try at some point, is an actual aligned grid. So what I have in mind, some of you may have seen this before, is there was a mod for Skyrim called Sky UI, which I've always loved the, it's probably my favorite inventory of all time, like the way to display an inventory. Let me find a good picture. Essentially this. So, yeah, so you got categories up the top, search, and icons obviously, and then it's like kind of this in this table structure where you can see the values, and these table values change depending on what category you have selected. Let me see if I can find someone who's got some stuff equipped. So this means it's favorited. There you go. This is kind of small. Okay, come on, why do you have to be like this? What the hell? Just, yeah, make the image bigger. Basically, these little dots here are essentially, I believe, actually now that I think about it, no, I think it is these things on the side. Yeah. Can't remember what those dots are. Anyway, there's a marker to tell what you have equipped, and you just click stuff on and off. Super good. Well, I think it's a super good inventory system. So that is kind of what I'm semi-aiming for. That does not look easy to use on controller. No, or in saying that, it is just a vertical list, so it actually would be fine on controller. It's just displayed kind of in a complicated way. You just, I guess, right bumper, left bumper through the top row, and then up and down through the list would be fine, and then you've still got your keys. So I think it actually would be okay on controller. The search would be a little awkward. But again, this is just an experimental project. I'm not necessarily targeting controller or anything at the moment. Probably ever, honestly. But it is good to keep that stuff in mind. Okay, so I just need to try and make this look a little more like put together, I guess. Have I done any font stuff yet? No. Okay. So that's the amount. And the reason I brought up that whole rant was basically, I guess, one, to show you what I'm thinking in my head, but also see the way they, where's that high res one? The way they display these columns for information. I don't know what the best way to do that in Unreal's UI would be, to where these align correctly. Because ideally you'd want the data for the item to be like one full row, so you can keep the logic in one place rather than having this be separate from this, be separate from this. But then aligning them can be a pain in the ass. So I don't know. There is a grid component, which is probably how you do it, I guess. Anyway, just something I've never really tried before. So I want to show the amount you have of the item, but then also the weight. So this would be like 0.5 or whatever. And I guess the value too. Which would be, whatever it is, 100 gold or something. Yeah, so something like this. And yeah, okay, so this needs to be, I don't have a good binding for that yet, so that's the first thing. Make a binding for the weight. Item row. So I suppose I'll just do an F string for it. Why does this keep coming up? I keep pushing some weird key combo like Windows X or something, is it? No. I don't know. Windows V? No. There's some sort of key combo that keeps bringing up voice recognition. Okay, so if we do that, that can be bound, and I just need to set it from the stack here. So this can be the stack dot class dot yeah, and the default objects. What am I doing here? Weight. Actually, do I want to show the weight of one item or the weight of the whole stack? I guess just one item, it looks like is what they do. I could have a button to toggle between that actually. Man, I can't stress enough how interesting it is to watch someone figure stuff out. Most devs only show the end result, which is kind of boring. I prefer this over 10-minute devlog summary. Keep it up. Thanks for thanks for saying that, Coon Dog. I really appreciate that actually. Yeah, I also enjoy watching live streams of people coding, and I do find it interesting to watch their the way they solve problems. So I'm glad you're getting that out of this. Yeah, they're probably not the most stomachable videos for some people, but I do find it's an interesting way to kind of not necessarily learn new things, but see how people approach problems differently. At least I've learned a lot that way. Yeah, so this is just a, what is this? Float? Okay, so We'll just do this formatted. You know what? It probably doesn't even need a suffix. I was going to do that for a suffix, but yeah, let's just abandon this whole thing and let's just go. No, actually, I do want to do that because I want to not show a million decimal points if it has a rounding error. So sanitize float, I think, is the thing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is what I want. Stacked item class. There could be a crash here if the stacks item class is null or the default object is null. So I could probably check that up top. What happened to my lignatures? I updated my thing yesterday, my writer. And my lignatures are gone. There we go. Hey. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why that's not working then. I will have to fix that. They work, yeah. Okay, whatever. So yeah, that'll prevent the crash of anything below if the item class is null. Yeah. Coondog, what are you a developer? I assume use Unreal, or what's your sort of background? Out of interest. Right, so that's the weight. Now we need to do costs. Item. We don't really have a value. So value is actually an interesting one because different vendors might offer different things, but I guess the way I'll do it is base value. So this is like roughly what the economy thinks the item's worth, like on average, and I can go up or down from that for different traders or whatever. I play with the idea to become one, starting with C# though, I guess. Nice. C# looks scary, to be honest. Yeah, that's fair. I kind of still feel the same, to be honest, but yeah, it's not as bad as I thought, but I do know what you mean. C# is definitely probably my favorite language of all time for sure. And there's you've probably looked into it, but Unity is got pretty good C# support, and I think Godot might now as well. Or you can be brutal and just get straight into graphics programming with OpenGL, but I'd recommend probably Unity or something. I do like probably Unreal more than Unity, but that's just because I've used it for longer. In a perfect world, Unreal with C# and I'd be a very happy man. Anyway, so we can use that as a value. So I actually can bind to that already, I believe, because it's in the struct. So no, because I want to put the suffix on the end. Okay. So what I need to do then is have another if string. And it probably makes sense to have this as a separate thing anyway, because I don't really want to show the raw base value. It's more like the theoretical value right now. So in your inventory, it would probably be the base value. But if you were looking at a trader's inventory, it would be what they were willing to sell the item for. Yep. So item cost. We need to basically do a similar thing here. except this time we'll do a format, and that will be something G, and this ends up in bracket hell when you do this, but essentially you want to do text there and then a struct for the values. So that would be stack.itemClass.defaultObject. Something value, base value. And it looks like it's actually going to accept an int there. Hopefully that actually treats it as an int and doesn't just try to force an int into a string, like the memory into being a string. But we'll see. Do you use Blueprint for anything, or is it all C#? This is C++ actually. It does look pretty similar to this, C#, Unreal C++. But yeah, so this project, I'm trying to basically do everything in C++, just because I've never really done that before. The other, 2-3 games I've made before are pretty much all Blueprint. I do a little bit of C++, but mostly Blueprint. Like at my day job, we're working on a game, an open world game, and that's almost all Blueprint. But yeah, so this project is just kind of an experimental thing for me, and one of the challenges I wanted to set was to pretty much do everything in C++. So. Coming from Unity, I work as a software engineer, so Blueprint is way more confusing to me than C++. Yeah, I agree, and it's pretty annoying, honestly, if you're already a programmer. But it does have the advantage on a team where, especially in Unreal for game development, where like designers and artists and that can kind of like do a little bit of coding to get by. Like our UI guy at work can do a lot of his own code for his own UIs and stuff, and I don't have to basically write all the code. And Blueprint makes it a little more approachable for them. So yeah, pros and cons. I do definitely prefer text-based code though, for sure. There's another big downside, and you'll probably be surprised to hear this, but you can't really diff or merge. Well, you can diff, you can't really merge blueprints. So yeah, that's kind of a massive pain in the ass. Choo Choo Charles has been done with almost only visual scripting in Unreal Engine. Isn't as performing, but I think it could be a good start to get into. Yeah, so in Blueprint, the biggest advantage, honestly, the two biggest advantages I find are the iteration speed is a lot faster, obviously, because you don't have to compile. Well, you have to compile, but it's not actually really compiling. It's just literally that, and boom, it's done. So the iteration speed is a lot faster. Like I can just do this, hit compile, jump in here and hit play, and it's ready to go. That's one advantage. The other advantage I find, it slipped out of my mind, hang on. The iteration speed and the stability. So Blueprint is sandboxed, much like C# is in most cases, in Java. It runs in a virtual machine. So it means, and it might be like controversial how you feel about this, but for me personally, it's nice to know that I don't want to say impossible, but it's very difficult to make it crash, basically. Like you have to do something pretty wrong to make it crash. So it's pretty forgiving in that regard. Which in a case where, like with C++ and Unreal, if I crash the game code in Unreal, it crashes the whole editor. Like I have to restart the entire editor, not just the game. So yeah, those are the two main advantages I find. Accessing stuff in Blueprint, honestly, it's just as easy. Like Blueprint, you have this thing where you can just type in whatever node you want. And these nodes are functions, basically. But honestly, I just do the same thing in C++ if I want a function. So, it's pretty much equivalent to me. There's that equivalent function in C++ and in Blueprint. So I don't really think that's a huge advantage. Yeah, perfect. I'd say so, Coondog, because a lot of people get Blueprint and visual scripting flack, but it is actually a really useful way to... so with programming, and again, this is just my opinion, some people will probably disagree, but when I first learned programming, serious programming, it was Java, which is kind of like C#. It's like, basically C#. And that I struggled with that like for months on end, basically watching YouTube tutorials, trying to learn. But then one day, there was this really distinct moment where everything started to make sense. And you kind of like, there's a certain level of understanding how to think about code that will transfer to basically any language you use. So the syntax can change. That's why you'll find actually a lot of programmers know more than one language, because once you've learned one, the way you think about code is similar enough. Like most languages have variables and functions, and you can like, put things in classes, and they understand how, one line executes after another, and so on. So yeah, I would say that was a really long-winded explanation, sorry about that, but yeah, I'd say Blueprint is good for a beginner for sure, is basically the point I was trying to make there. Yeah, having the click in your head is amazing. Yeah, and from that point on, I don't want to say it's easy or anything, but it's like, before that moment, you kind of feel like you're looking at like literally a different language, like Spanish or some language you don't read. And you can kind of make sense of a few bits, but you don't understand why anything works. But then after that click, you can understand how to look at it. Like this code right here, like I don't look at it like, I don't really actually know how to explain this, but reading code is not like reading English, basically. Like you don't go, blah, 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 and then work your way down the words. You go like, okay, this is a class. Okay, it inherits from this class. Okay, these are the functions it has. These are the dependencies. And you kind of, I don't know. I'm probably just sounding like a lunatic right now, but maybe someone in chat can explain it better than I can. But yeah, I would definitely encourage, Unreal's free, so definitely have a go. Yeah, I've taught a lot of people over the years how to program through using Blueprint. In fact, I used to teach at a school here once a week, game dev, and that was all Blueprint. So yeah, definitely recommend it. Sorry, I've missed a whole bunch of messages because I get passionate about this stuff. Yeah, Choo Choo Charles. Yeah, so I've made a horror game as well. That was all Blueprint, and again, the one I'm making right now is open world crime game, kind of like GTA-ish. Pretty much all Blueprint, so it's not a huge hindrance. Null pointer can kill your whole game dev session. Like how long is the build time each time you make a code change in Unreal? So every time I make a code change, it has to compile the dependencies. So like, for example, if I change something in the inventory here, say I like put this a whole bunch more times, I can compile it through what's called a live reload, I think. Live coding, something. That's a relatively new thing. So that will actually swap out the DLLs and make this super fast. Well, not super fast, probably by C# standards, but fast for C++. So you can see basically when I started this, still compiling. There you go. So what was that? Like, I don't know, like 5-10 seconds. So that's your iteration speed with C++, 17 seconds for a small change. What used to be the case is you had to actually basically shut the whole engine, compile your changes like clean. I don't know how you describe it, but basically like shut the whole engine, compile new DLLs, boot the engine, which will load these DLLs, and yeah, go from there. And that's obviously a lot longer. Yeah, so but yeah, if I do something here like dereference a null pointer, so like if I like where's a good example to do that, like there's not really an in here, but like I had up here, if I don't have this check, if something tries to access stack.item class, it's not going to give me an error, it's just going to crash. Because it's trying to like, it's literally, C++ is brutal, man. It'll actually basically go to that spot on my RAM where that thing is supposed to be, and then it'll take that chunk of RAM that is supposed to be an item class and try to use it as an item class. So it's just going to be a whole bunch of garbled memory and pretty much always crash. So yeah, that's why one of the advantages I said about Blueprint and C# actually is that it's sandbox, to where it'll just be like, hey, you got a null pointer on so-and-so line. Sorry, I'm slowly working through these messages. Learning the vocabulary, I guess, like learning syntax and stuff. Yeah, learning syntax and stuff is like the cherry on top, basically. Like, as I said, you can kind of learn syntax relatively quickly. It's more like how to even kind of think about programming in the first place. Having the click is such a real feeling, while next level after that is learning to start reading documentation first instead of letting yourself feel totally stuck. Yeah, and learning how to Google well and often, because Stack Overflow as a programmer will save your ass. And probably AI these days. I haven't really used it that much, but I'm sure, you know, ChatGPT and that can probably help you out. Oh yeah, the old editor. Oh geez, UT 2004. Holy moly, that is old school. Yeah, I haven't even seen that thing. Yeah, no, I'm sure that was kind of a nightmare. I don't even know what they used back then. They did, in Unreal 3, they had Kismet, which is kind of like Blueprint, and I think Unreal Script, which I don't know what that was. I wasn't around back then. Well, I mean, I was alive, but I wasn't making games. I'm legit. Okay, so now, after getting hugely distracted, let's see what I need to do here. So I need to link that. I need to link this to the weight. This should already be set to the stack size. This is set to that. Beauty. Okay, so now if I load in, add item. No, it's not add. That's the other game. Give item x. X. Come on, x1. There we go. Okay, cool. So it doesn't cost anything, obviously, because I haven't set it to cost anything. Waves 5.0, I don't love the 0.0. So I'll change it so that it only shows the decimal if there is one. And this is the number. So you see how I don't know if you guys were here for this, but I was basically saying how much I like the Sky UI mod for Skyrim's UI, which I don't know if that made sense, but like, this is probably my favorite inventory, display system of all time. Pretty much items in a list, table structure with details on the right, categories at the top, and search, and that's it. And you just toggle these on and off to equip them. The only thing I might add to this is a tooltip. But yeah, super clean. Yo, Zohabe, welcome in. Long time no see. Yeah, it has been a while. How you doing? We are currently not working on the TypeScript engine. We're working on a little side project I've been working on. Yeah, a procedural RPG thing in Unreal. I think I'll do more on the TypeScript engine though. I just don't know when. I kind of want to I don't want to force it, you know, because then I'll get burnt out. I want to do it when I'm feeling passionate for it. And at the moment, after work, this is my passion project, so this is what we're working on. Okay, I need to pick up the pace and get more done here. So we've got the items being added. I want to add a hover effect probably, so I know which one I'm hovered over. So let's do, how do I want to do that? I might try something kind of cool here. We'll see if this works out, but I'm going to try a shader technique for this. May I ask what your goal with this project is? Do you have a certain game idea in mind, or do you want to release someday, or is it just for fun and learning purposes? Yeah, so the idea behind this project is there's a few like kind of like weird mechanics I've wanted to experiment with for a long time. And I have just managed to crash. Why did we crash? Crashed on switching level. I think that might be because I didn't unbind a dispatcher. And I know it's trying so hard to show me the assembly code that's broken, but this doesn't mean anything to me. Fair enough. We'll just let it crash. Yeah, so one of those is a dialogue system, a particular dialogue system idea based off, it's kind of like the game Her Story, if you've seen that before. There's probably other games that have done it too, but it's essentially you type in a text field to the AI rather than selecting dialogue options. That's pretty much the gist of it. And the way it works is the NPCs all have a like a knowledge, I can't remember what I call it, like personal knowledge or something like that, which is just a series of like keys and facts they know about the world, like the key name, and yeah, the key name would be attached to the knowledge that my name is, you know, whatever it is, for example, or you know, a certain dungeon name or something they might recognize, know something about, and be able to tell you about. So it's about kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but like in a way being a detective where you kind of need to know what to say to prompt them to tell you about the world, essentially. You don't just like get given a list of options. So that leads into the second weird idea. So I can say like, what is your name or whatever, and you'll tell me, or like, what race are you? Orc. And he's like, my race is human, for example. So yeah, it's kind of a weird idea, but that kind of leads into the second part of the idea, which is I kind of want to experiment with, there's like, in my mind, a split in RPGs of like what I would kind of call old school, and don't hold me to this because this might be controversial or whatever, but the old school RPGs and the new school RPGs. And the new school ones, what I see as a new school RPG are the ones that are like, you know, it will show you like a quest marker on where to go at all times. It'll like hold your hand through dialogue. It'll be like a really streamlined, really, you know, like enjoyable, streamlined experience basically. And then you have the old school RPGs, which just like, basically they just bash you over the head, don't care, difficult as. But one thing they do, and I was playing Morrowind and Daggerfall, they don't really hold your hand when it comes to quests. They'll just give you a quest journal and be like, well, read it. You got to figure out what to do. So what I'm going to try and do is basically encourage players, and they'll probably hate this, but I'm going to try and encourage players to have a notebook, like a physical notebook or a piece of paper. And I'm not going to track quests or maps or dungeons or anything like that. And I want the player to decide, hopefully, what information they find interesting about the world, or like certain NPC names they might find cool, they want to write those down, or someone might hint at a quest that's going on, or a cave in the woods. I want to put it on the player to basically like manage all that themselves, just to so they have to keep track of what they have figured out yet. Kind of, yeah, but it's all procedural, so there's no like set story or anything. It's more like, like it would be in real life, you know, imagine a detective in real life. Yeah, so I know that sounds like a psychotic idea, but that's kind of the experiment, essentially. Boils down to that. And so to do that, basically I have to build a procedural RPG to house that. So yeah, you said King's Quest had something like that. I'll write that down and look it up, because I'm interested to see how other games have done this. It's not, I've had a few people ask me if it's like AI. It's not AI as in like ChatGPT or anything. It's like, there's like AI as in like video game AI. Hey, light blue stuff. Guess not for mainstream market, but interesting nonetheless. Yeah, and I don't know if I'm necessarily going to like release it or anything like that. It's more just like a after work project that I've been wanting to experiment with. So yeah, so I thought I'd stream the process. Yeah, so the first kind of part of that was building a village generator. So we did that, and I guess it's got this interesting art style too, like Daggerfall, where it's like sprites, like 2D, 3D hybrid. Yeah, so procedural villages, like procedural names and everything, and then a level transition system. Like these buildings are just fake. There's like this door is just a piece of paper, but a system to generate the interior, take you to a whole new level, which is just in the void. Yeah, populate it, everything like that. So it's quite a lot of groundwork. And yeah, so for the project I imposed on myself, I want to try and use C++ too to get better at that. So yeah, that's again another really long-winded way of answering your question, but hopefully that makes sense. So the minimum number of fractional digits the number should have. I kind of want a maximum number. Which I guess would just be 0 then, huh? So if I do 0, then it's not going to put any extra zeros for me. Moving street lamps facing to player. Yeah, they're just billboard sprites basically. I wrote so there's a sprite renderer in Unreal, but I wrote a wherever it is. Here we go. A sprite component that basically just faces the player, as you say, but only on the yaw. And it does it on the CPU. Really, I should be doing some of this on the GPU, but things get a little more complicated on the GPU with like things that are attached to other things and rotating. I need to take extra transforms into account. So I just do it on the CPU right now. But yeah, you can see everything in the world just rotates to face me. It looks pretty weird up close, but it's got like a charm to it, I feel like. I don't know, I don't see this type of style all the time, so it's kind of looks alright at a distance. The meshes always facing the player is problematic, isn't it, since they contain collision, so you could pass a tree sideways if you look at it from the side instead of head on. Yeah, I guess so, but I'm not too worried about that really. Like, you know, I guess what you're saying is like I can do this and then kind of walk past it like that. Yeah, you are right. But again, so what I could do is I could put more collision on this, basically, to do like a cylinder. And then the collision would be separate from the actual rendering. But it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't bother me a huge amount. As I said, it's an experimental project, so I'm not too worried about it being jank like that. Yeah, so you can see like here the NPCs all just kind of like face you. The items, don't worry, I was just working on those before. And then this is a really ugly enemy, so don't judge me, but yeah, you can kind of see like if you were in a dungeon, kind of maybe how things might look. I'm definitely considering getting rid of the pixel art and doing hand drawn, but for the the style of rendering with the 2D 3D, I think I like it. Secret pass incoming. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like to try and put a different spin on most projects I do, for better or worse. Okay, so what I want to do is actually some shader work real quick, because where is it? Item row. Yeah, so we have this border in the background now. And what I want to do, I could just animate it like this, so it just like the alpha changes when you highlight it, but I want to try something. Where would I put this? Maybe have you downloaded Unreal yet, Coondog? I hope so. VFX, let's try that, I suppose. We'll do M UI and then like item row BG maybe. Okay. All right. So we set this to UI first of all. Set it to additive, translucent maybe. Too frightened to start a massive endeavor. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's a bit of a tall order, isn't it? Keep it in mind though, it is fun. Until then, you can just keep watching my videos to hopefully satiate the itch. So I want a... Come on, why can't I think of it? You know what, I'll just use the UVs. We'll do the same thing as the thing I'm trying to remember. So if I get the UVs and mask the red channel, that should give me a gradient left to right, and then 1 minus that should give me a gradient left to right, and that is pretty much going to be the alpha. And we'll just do 1 for the color and we'll tint it in the UI. That's pretty much the effect. It's not that extreme, but then on here do MUI BG. Okay, so now I don't know if that's any good or not, but it's something. Okay, so now we just basically want to animate this. So oh cool, give this a name, border BG, so that I can link to it in C++. Okay, U border, and can forward declare it. Sure, I always get the hiccups when I drink beer. Border BG, now it's fine like that. Okay, so that should bind. Should find that widget, and now I want to trigger a hover event. So I start with the simplest way I can think to do that, and then we'll work. If that is not optimized enough, I will find a different way, but what is the tick function in UI? Oh, it's probably called native tick. Yeah, I don't know why they use this terminology just in widgets, but okay, so we've got a tick function. Essentially, we can go is hovered, and we can go what is it? Border BG brush color, and linear color takes in 3 floats, so, and this will be just so I can write the code first and then do the logic. If I do that and then put alpha. Okay, so then the alpha is going to be, I can make it const. So the alpha will be a linear lerp between its current linear colors alpha and the target, which is going to be is hovered. If it's hovered, we'll do otherwise 0.25, otherwise we'll do 0. And the alpha, I've used the word alpha twice, but the alpha of the lerp is going to be, let's call this opacity, otherwise this is going to get confusing for people. So the opacity of the background is going to be a lerp between the current borders alpha, and if it's hovered, 0.25, if it's not 0, and we're going to use delta time times a smoothing factor of like 10, maybe. Oh god. Deprecated. Get brush color. Sure. Okay, cool. And then we set the opacity. So that should do it. So a lerp, you know what? I'm not going to explain what a lerp is. You can Google it if you want. It's basically a linear interpolation between two numbers. In this case, it's between this number and this number. And how far in between those numbers is this value here. And there you go. I just explained the lerp, even though I said I wasn't going to. Okay, so did that bind? Yeah. So we should be good then, as long as it's hit testable. Yeah, nice. Axe, apple, sword. So yeah, I don't know. It's probably fine. It's something that shows when you're hovering it, and that's probably good enough. Okay, so what's time? 36. Okay, so let me put in a search. No, yeah, let's do a search first, and then I'll do categories. And then the next thing after that is we need to do equipping, dropping, and using items. So I don't know if we'll get to all of that tonight, but I'll commit what I have done so far. Okay. Okay. What did I just say? Search. Okay, so we probably want a search in every item list widget. Every inventory list. This is probably where we want to do this stuff. So we have a list box. I need to probably now wrap that with a vertical box. That is just a vertical box. Okay, so that's going to need to become a scroll box at some point. And then text field or whatever, text input, text box, sure, right at the top. And it is definitely unstyled for now, but that's fine. We'll just get it working. We'll do hint text search. And I don't know why the default font is basically unreadable, but I will, yeah, make it readable. Okay, so everything will have a search bar now. And also, just for convenience, this doesn't count as me doing Blueprint, but I am going to quickly, in Blueprint, just do a add item thing, so I don't have to keep running those cheats. Because I don't have saving the game just yet. That will be something I probably do on stream, just so show people how to do that, at least how I would do it. So we'll do 3 apples, an axe, and a sword, and a potion. 10 potions. 12 potions. Begin players like the start event in Unity. There we go. So now I've got stuff. What I want to basically do is be able to search for items by using that search box. So how to do that, I guess, is going to be to make this search. Oh, that was probably really loud, sorry. Search bar. Editable text box. So we need a reference to that in the inventory list. What did I say it was called? Editable text box. And blueprint read only, visible anywhere, and don't worry about the category, but we will need the bind. Forward declare it. Okay, so we now have a search bar. So I need, do I have an initialize event? No. We need one of those as well. So native initialize. When it initializes, we're gonna add on text changed, I suppose. So that's every time I type a letter, it'll update the search. Alternatively, I could do when you push enter or unfocus it, but I think every letter press is probably fine. So we'll add dynamic for that. Add a binding to inventory list widget. Search changed. And implement it. Okay. So when the search changes, I think all we need to really do is see we add the new widgets to this list box here. If we just loop over every child in that list box, okay, and then for each widget in the children array, what's your problem? That's fine. We want to basically cast it, I guess. So if item row cast to item row widget, and we'll cast the child. If that cast succeeds, then we can check the item row widget's current stack. Is that accessible? It is. Okay, stack. What? I don't know why that's not. Do I have something else called item row widget in here? No. Why are you being a pain in the ass? Because I'm not in the if function, if check. That's why item row widget dot stack dot item class default object name. Is this text? I think it is a. Yep. ToString. And then we want to say if the item name contains the search term, which is text.toString. If it doesn't contain whatever we've searched for, then we want to basically hide it. So wait, no. So what we could do here actually, sorry, is say I'll just save that into a variable. So now we know whether we should show the item or we shouldn't. And we can just say item row widget dot set visibility to should show item, then it's what, e visible, otherwise collapse. Here we go. Why would you search for items within your inventory though? There's a reason to look for something up in order to drop it, look at it, or compare to other stuff, show NPCs or anything else. Not questioning or criticizing the mechanic, just asking for the reasoning. It's basically just so that if you have a lot of items, you can see how many items we have here. You can just search them, basically. If you want to quickly find the armor you need to equip, or a quest item, or a potion, or whatever, you can just search. That's pretty much the only reason for it. It's just this, yeah, basically this UI system is definitely my favorite, and that is a big part of it, is being able to quickly find items, you know. Would you rather just sort all your items for a certain category? Yeah, so this system, this UI system here also has that. So you can, this bag means all items. Then you have like weapons, armor, potions. So you can filter by type and then search within that type, or you can just select all items and search items. So it's kind of got both. And that way it is up to the player. So if they don't want to use search, that's fine. It's just something I feel like I would use in a lot of games if it was there. Yeah, it's just additional filtering for sure. Like, for example, in Skyrim, if you want to torch, or in a lot of games, if you want to torch, just quickly booting this up and hitting TOR and having your torch right there is, I feel like a nice quality of life thing. But yeah, you're right. Some people probably won't use it and they'll just use the categories. That's totally cool too. Okay, so items, set visibility. Hello, Sleepy Mushroom, welcome in. Never used that mechanic, but makes sense for those who will. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this whole project I don't think will be for everyone. I don't even know if it'll be for me. I don't even know if it's gonna work out how it will in my head, but we'll see. It's good good coding practice regardless. Some tricky problems we've had to solve so far. Cool, so I think that will basically do it, except in the case where we delete all the text, then it'll hide all the items, I'm pretty sure. So if we look in the inventory, so if I do this, nothing happens. Awesome. Why? Search changed, add dynamic. Oh, did I not compile it in? It might be that I just didn't compile. Alright, so let's try that again. Yeah, there we go. So everything iron in my inventory. See, so that's a good use case for it. It's stuff like that where the game's never going to really have a category for iron stuff. It'll probably have weapons or armor or whatever, but it's good to just see like, hey, what are all the things, or what are all the types of axes I have, or, you know, I don't know. It might be a niche use case, but I do like it. And it does seem that when I delete everything, it does just work. So I guess that is that mechanic basically done. I thought I would have had to do more than that. I will actually do it so that there's a setting, I believe. Select all text when focused. I think that's what I want. Yeah, there we go. So when I click into this, it selects everything, which is kind of nice. So that way I can just do like this and start messing around the inventory, click back. Why doesn't it always do it though? I have to click on the word? No? I have to actually focus something else and refocus it? No? I'm not sure. Anyway, it just means I don't have to push delete as well. You can see the quality of life service type thing. Can't harm to have, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's one of the things I find that makes this mod like incredible. But yeah, so that was pretty straightforward. I will commit that, and we might have time to get one more thing in the next 10 minutes or so. And that could be categories. So let me go to the item. So for these, I'm going to use gameplay tags, which are a special like tagging system where you can basically have hierarchy. So I guess forward declare it. Yeah, type is fine. No, we can't forward declare it. Okay, and I think from memory I need to actually import this as a whole separate module. Gameplay tags, yeah. Which means to be safe I should reboot the engine. There we go. Do a hard compile. Is my webcam laggy? It is. What the hell? I have to look at that after the stream. Right. Come on. Okay, we built fine. Reboot. Yep, so we have the tags now, so I just need to actually set those in the engine, but we also need item row, let's see. item. Okay, sure. Let's do this first. So items, Apple. We also haven't set value for stuff. This is like super arbitrary. I'm not really sure what to put for most stuff. Actually, Apple could be whatever. So for the tags, if I do item dot consumable, I guess, dot food, I suppose. Must specify a source file. There we go. Yeah, so you can see how like the dots split it into a hierarchy, so I can have other types of tags that are under the consumable tag. I can search for the consumable tag and anything underneath it, or just specifically for food. It's pretty handy. So for example, this will be item.consumable, but it's not food, it's a potion. Or drink? Probably potion. Drink can be separate. And then the X will be item dot weapon dot X, and sword item dot weapon dot sword. And so that way I can search for any tags, like anything that's a sword specifically, or anything that's just a weapon. Yeah, I think you get the idea. Okay, just realized I didn't actually set some of these. Potion and food. Okay, so potion is just like an arbitrary, like this isn't actually going to be the real potion in the game, because I need a more complicated system of metadata to tell what type of potions these are. Because there's going to be an alchemy system basically, which is going to be fun. I'll program that on stream probably. Like, yeah, I have no idea what to set these prices to, but I'll just put in some numbers for now. Cool, so now we have that data. Basically, we need to have some extra buttons up here to filter, and I only have 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna speed run this if I can. Inventory list. Well, I mean, I don't have to go at 10, but I try to keep a schedule where I can. So let me make a new widget, and I'm gonna go into focus mode for a few minutes here to try and do this. Use a widget. Inventory category. Okay. And this is going to have an icon and an icon and if gameplay tag container. Okay, do that. That will go in, and then the filters will be on there. The filters are going to need to point to, okay, so inventory list is going to need a horizontal box for the filters. Okay, and that widget compiled in. We're not doing very good on time, but category. Spent too much time yapping the stream. UI inventory category. Okay, so we're going to basically spawn those for each of the filters. which means the inventory list widget is going to need an array of these. So or actually, let me just pre-author them. That'll be better. So where's our category thing? This will essentially just be a button for now with the text with no icon. I'll do the icons next time, I'm not gonna have time. And this can bind to something. Okay, so that's going to come in. We'll have the category here, live compile failed. Category name can member. Already, it's already a thing in widgets. Okay, item category name. Sure. Okay, and then we're going to need references. Text block, I think. Filter button. These are going to be this, but with a meta flag for bind widget. Okay, and we need to forward declare that also. And now in pre-construct, actually we'll do it on init, because I don't know about doing it there. We can do, wait, not this, it's native initialize, I think. Click.add dynamic. Okay, I didn't quite get there in time, but we got close. Okay, and then when we pre-construct, we just want to say whatever the text thing I made was called. Name text. Set the text to be item category name. Alright. And actually we're also going to need an isActive thing. Okay, we're still not compiling. What's going on? Search clicked. We don't implement that function. So when search is clicked, we just want to do a callback. So right here, I guess. Clear dynamic multicast delegates. One param on activate filter, and we'll pass through an F gameplay tag container called filter. Now we need the delegate for that. On activate filter. This is just going to be visible anywhere, and we need to activate this basically when they click. We'll broadcast the event with the filter that was predefined, which is this. Okay, that is good. So now we're going to have a bunch of these in the inventory list. So I'll need you horizontal box filter row or something. Hopefully we're compiling again. So let's see, in here we're going to need filter row, and in here, did I need to set anything up? This needs to be called something, name text, and filter button. Okay, it's already trying to activate. That is not, does that mean we're gonna hit a crash? Dang it. Alright, so this should have been if name text, then do it. Five minutes over so far. Almost there. Hopefully some of what I'm doing is making sense. I'm not really explaining it very well, but yeah. I'll do a recap at the start of the next stream. This might not even work anyway, but I think it will. We'll see. While that's doing that, so we're going to have item list widget is going to need to when it initializes, we need to go through the horizontal box, which is filter row. Get all children. And then we'll say if child, if you item, you, is it item category? Fuck. Inventory category. Inventory category. Inventory category. Inventory category dots on activate filter dot add dynamic. This, and then new inventory list widget, apply filter, generate the function generated. Very good. Now we implement the function so we don't get a linker error. And when we do this, we basically want to run the filter. So we want to do essentially this thing we do with searching, except instead of checking for the name, we actually want to check the type. So it should show if the filter has tag type. There we go. Okay, that should filter it, I think. If I've done everything right, which there's an incredibly high chance I haven't. So this is mad because we lost our button. I'm gonna have to try and remember what it was called. Filter button. And then name text. Not very good names. But now what we can do is in the inventory list we have that horizontal box. We good for the bindings here? Yeah. So we can do category. We can basically just, I think, now add as many as we want in here. So I could do, for example, where are my settings? Did I make them private? No. We need to edit anywhere and edit anywhere. And probably edit anywhere. Right. Well, that took me 10 minutes longer than I thought, but that's still not too bad. And actually, I shouldn't speak too soon. We haven't tested this. It might not work. But that is basically most of the code, I think, in place for it. In like a modular way where I can add filters in the engine, I think. So yeah, if I do category name can be like weapons. We don't really have an icon yet anyway, and I'll just set it to weapon. This one can be food, and we'll set that specifically to food. This one we'll set to potion, and we'll call it potions. And then to test out the like hierarchical side of this, I'll set one to consumables. These aren't probably the categories I'll use, but yeah, so I just take off that filtering there. And we need one, of course, for like all, which just has to have the item tag at all. And that should do it, I think. Let's see what happens. Oh, food worked, weapons didn't. Potions is fine, consumables. Oh, I see. There is a thing. Has tag present in this container, also checking against its parent tags will return true. Is that the function I want? Filter has any? Has any. That might be what I want. No, that's a container. Okay, why is this not working then? Filter.has tag. Gameplay tag, tag to check. So if item.weapons will return true. Yeah, apparently it should be working. Unless the item stuff didn't save. Alright, that's fine. That's fine. This one is set to item.weapon. So it'll be item.weapon. Yeah, contains. Maybe I should just do a single tag. That's probably what I should do. Uh-oh. Okay, let me switch this to a single tag and I'm pretty sure this will be fine. Which means this is if gameplay tag. Which means this is if gameplay tag. Which means this is if gameplay tag. And this is if gameplay tag. And sometimes the live coding bugs out, which was that error we just got then where it's like live coding underscore something. Oh yeah, and this function obviously needs to change now. Grab that. I think it's matches. Yeah. All right, and then I really got to go. I got a big day tomorrow. But yeah, if any of you guys are still here, I appreciate you sticking around. Hopefully some of this was semi-interesting. I know it probably can be a little dry just to watch someone sit here coding, but yeah, take from it what you will, hopefully. Maybe I can put some of you to sleep. But yeah, I figure I'm up doing this anyway for practice. Why not share it with anyone who's interested? So oh, I need to set the tags again, and then I'll test it, and then I need to hit off after that. Let me just double check these though. So this will just be set to item, weapon, food, potion, consumable. If this still doesn't work, that'll be first on the list probably for tomorrow. Yeah, no, it still doesn't work. Okay, so the specific ones do, but the other ones don't. So I will have to look at that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Always interesting to watch someone else go about those kinds of things. I like content where I learn one or two other things. Thanks for sharing your insights and workflows. See you around. Yeah, no worries. Yep, all good. Your day ends, mine begins. Thanks for joining Graphical Boss, Coondog, Sleepy Mushroom, everyone who's been here. It's been cool. Just talk and let us know what you're doing. We might learn something. Yeah, cool. All right, catch you later. Randomize, thank you. I will potentially stream tomorrow, we'll see. But yeah, cheers, and we'll catch you in the next one.